What?
It's time now for My Two Favorite Librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dale's Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.
Hi, this is My Two Favorite Librarians. I'm Denise Corey.
I'm Chantel Taylor, and today we're talking about judging a book by its cover.
I'm already laughing at you. This is going to be awesome.
My stomach gurgled into the microphone.
Well, not into the microphone. Your stomach isn't even near the microphone.
But it was still gurgling.
I feel like you don't know anatomy. Okay, so judging a book by its cover is because it's one of my Pop Sugar reading challenges.
I saw that because there's a Goodreads thread for people recommending what they should read for this challenge.
Well, you're supposed to pick the book from your TBR list, to be read list, with the prettiest cover. So I don't know what I am going to use for that.
So we've done this before, this topic, and I'll say it again. It's a really terrible topic for the radio as it's a visual topic.
Much like I have a very good face for radio.
We have some lists we'll post of different book covers that have been recommended because I found a 2020 book cover list, and I also found a all-time book cover list. But the problem is
that's not always the cover you get.
Exactly. So
some
time
of the covers
changes
are ugly.
Well, and graphics have changed. Like if something was created in the 60s, perhaps what was released in the 80s or the 2000s is completely different. Movie tie-ins. If they've made a movie, perhaps they're putting a poster or a character on the front cover. The paperback version is often different than the hardcover version.
It's different in different countries.
Exactly. Sarah McLean just did a whole post where she showed her romance covers from different countries because they're completely different. They have a completely different aesthetic. So when we weed books out of the collection, specifically in the kids, tweens, teens, we have to look at what people look like on the cover because a kid isn't going to they don't like old looking covers. They want something new and flashy. So when I started here and it hadn't really been weeded, it was if you see anything that you wore in university or in high school, get rid of it.
You wore? Oh, you
clothes.
mean the clothes that were
Yes.
on the cover. Oh,
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Now, when you think about it, when we're weeding, if they're wearing things from the 2000s, we have to get rid of them because they look crazy in the 2000s with their low-rise jeans and their little crop tops. And
remember the cover you rebought Anne of Green Gables?
Yes,
and I wanted a prettier cover.
I've been rebuying a lot of the classics with new covers.
But the cover for Anne of Green Gables had Anne, the young lady on the cover was blonde. And it's the whole point of Anne of Green Gables is that she's a redhead. That is a major piece of the story.
But we also bought a cover for the paper cut version. There's one where it's a paper cut picture that they've used as the title. There's embroidered versions now of Anne of Green Gables has a lot of covers.
Oh, yeah.
There's because, of course, my version of it when I got my copy of Anne of Green Gables was my aunt gave me the box set. So it had Anne of Green Gables, Anne of Avonlea, and Anne of the Island. And one was green, one was pink, and one was blue. So those are my covers that I remember. But nowadays, there's all kinds of different covers.
I just couldn't even fathom how they put this young blonde lady on.
I'm going to have to go looking for that because I don't remember.
I think we've gone past that one and purchased
okay.
another new one. I did do a semi-informal poll with some of our coworkers and asked them what they looked for in a cover for books that they were picking up, because we know you're not supposed to pick a book by the cover, but the cover entices you.
It is what draws your eye over to something, yes.
Yeah. So when I talked to Sammy, she said she likes dark book covers because the thrillers that she loves to read, usually the cover is dark. It has a picture, but it's hard to make out. So she's looking for that. Holly said she likes vibrant colors. So she specifically mentioned the Hank Green books, an absolutely remarkable thing. Those are vibrant color books. No pictures on them, just sort of a pattern with bright lettering.
Okay.
Diana. Diana is very particular about her books, which is surprising because she reads a cajillion books a year. I don't even know how many books a year she reads. She looks at the style of the font. She wants a cover that isn't too busy. In fiction, she wants a picture of people on the cover, and she doesn't like it when the author's name is larger than the title.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
And then I think every James Patterson book.
Well, Adam pointed out to me that who wrote that dinosaur trilogy, Aragorn?
Christopher Paolini.
So he put out a new book like late last year, and his name is on the spine, and that's all it is. It's his like palele down the side. There's no title, and Adam was like, who designed that? Who cares?
Yeah.
Where's the title?
Yeah, because especially if it's a series, you want
It's not. This is like a new thing, but nonetheless. Come on, dude.
And then Lisa wants a photo. So she doesn't want something that looks cartoony. She wants something that looks realistic and that gives a good hint of the story. And then she looks for two different things. So sometimes she wants to read light, fluffy books, and sometimes she wants to read like dark, suspenseful books. So for the light, fluffy books, she's looking for bright colors and happy, summery type pictures. But when she's looking for something that's heavier, she also looks for a dark image. So those thriller books usually have that dark picture on the cover.
So I've complained several times in 2020 about how all the books like are going back to the 70s.
Well, especially the recipe books,
which I really, really, really dislike. And the picture books as well. So I like a variety of things, and I like what I like. I don't necessarily dislike a dark cover or a bright color. I like something I like a modern, I like something that's interesting. But then you look at older covers and you think, oh, that was an excellent design. Like, I love the way that looked. But
I wish you could see her face, her unhappy face.
Like, okay, let's talk about, Clockwork Orange. So the picture, and this one is fairly iconic for me. It's on t-shirts, it's on posters, and it's the big bowler hat and one eye with like, it almost looks like a big cog around it to sort of imitate his eyelashes. And they did a very similar looking photo for the movie poster. So it's the one that I tend to see when I think of a Clockwork Orange. But this was one cover, and there's a ton of them. It's the same as like Catch-22, or I'm trying to think of something else, like The Great Gatsby. Like The Great Gatsby that I looked at or read in high school was that purpley cover with like the girl, half a girl's face. But there's 100 different paperback versions.
There's been a couple of movies, so there's more than one movie tie-in. So there's the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, and then there's one with, is it Robert Redford?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's that. And then they pick different things to focus on the cover.
The Godfather.
I think that's the only cover for that I've seen. So it's
a
person holding a
puppet, like a marionette.
The puppet strings. You don't see the puppet. Yeah.
Well, because the puppet is attached to the words, or the strings are attached to the words, because that's what the Godfather's doing.
Uh-huh.
So no one has changed the Godfather
since
it was published. No, it says it's been redesigned countless times. This first edition is still the one everybody associates with this book.
Yeah, that's the one I associate. And I've never read The Godfather. Now, earlier today, you were showing me the cover for Witches Get Stitches.
Yes.
Which is coming out
in July of 2021. Fingers crossed.
Yes. It is 2021 now.
I know, but who knows what could happen in 2021?
Shush. Shush. So, Witches
Get Stitches.
Part of
my series that I loved by Juliet Cross. And they're very...
What was the first book called?
Wolf Gone Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And so just let me actually look up a cover so I can describe it for you.
I did read Wolf Gone Wild this summer, and I thought the cover was pretty. It has a nice aesthetic. I like bright colors, and I like a minimalist cover, so I don't want a lot of things on it.
The other thing about these two is that they don't look romancy. So there's like no like shirtless man and woman hanging off of him, or like a weird man with a werewolf head. And and like, stalking in the background. They've got a very nice,
Or like all of the Cressley Cole covers, which is like a close-up of a man's face, and usually there's something weird with his eyes.
yes,
And they're all very...
or he's behind like what looks like bars, but is really a fancy fence or something.
They're all very brooding looking.
Exactly. So these are very pretty.
Yeah.
And they're very like light. And I would say it's very much like an accompaniment of the series. It's not a dark series. It's not like Immortals After Dark where everybody's tortured and like there's vivisection and terribleness. These are very sweet, nice books.
And they have sweet, nice, pretty
covers. Yeah.
with nice colors. Yeah. Let's talk about Baby Teeth. You did not read Baby
No, I
Teeth.
didn't.
I could not finish Baby Teeth. It's I don't know if I call it a horror novel. Anyway, the cover is a smashed lollipop or sucker. But it's about this child, this very, very intelligent child who is looking for ways to torture her mother. I could not finish that book. But the cover looked like something very different than what I got when I opened it up. So sometimes, if you're picking up a book by the cover, sometimes you can get a pleasant surprise or a not so pleasant surprise.
Because let's look at 50 Shades of Grey. So 50 Shades of Grey came out with its not clip art, but like
tie.
No, it had the tie, but there's a word for that. Like, it wasn't like an original image. It was something you could get off the internet. It's not clip art. Anyway, the expression's gone. So 50 Shades of Grey comes out with its tie.
Black and white.
Very minimal. And then all of a sudden, all of the erotica was being published like that. And they even went back. So Maya Banks writes a series of erotica, and initially when it had come out, it was very romancy covers, man and woman, like pink and purple. And post 50 Shades of Grey, it was a black cover with a piece of fruit on it. So like one book had an apple and one book had a grape. And Bare to You, which was sort of a big, I can't think of what the author's name was. It was
Sylvia Day, isn't it?
Yes. Big series, had the cufflinks on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So,
or the glass, the martini glass with the pearls. Is that one?
Yes, that's I think that it could have been, because I'm thinking of her name just went right out of my head, and I love that series too. But yeah, so the stock image, that's what I'm looking for. Stock image. So these sort of unoriginal stock images that you could just pull off the internet.
Yeah,
and they were
for like a tiny little fee, you buy it and you don't have anybody shooting a cover.
Everything was rebranded to sort of be in that 50 Shades-esque kind of thing to grab onto that popularity.
When you saw a cover with a single image that was in black and white, you thought, oh, they're reading a smutty book.
Exactly.
And it didn't matter what the cover was. It was like a shoe. It's like, oh, it's in black and white and there's one shoe. It's a smutty book.
And this was obviously pre 50 Shades, but Twilight with the hands in the apple, a very iconic cover.
Yes. Well, and I mean, that's why you're thinking of Twilight and 50 Shades.
Because they were written about each other. But
So, I don't know. Like, a cover needs to draw me in. It needs to make me want to open the book.
Or at least read the flap to read the description.
Yes. There's a thing that
we should talk about descriptions.
Irritates me when there's no description and it's all just like blurbs and they're like, this is the best book and it's blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what is it about? Just tell me. Tell me it would, like, is it in a cabin in the woods? Is it? No. Hate those. I guess that's not really about the cover art. So now I have the challenge of going through the books on my to-be-read list.
Okay.
And picking out the one that I think has the prettiest cover.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a challenge.
Well, and it might depend on which edition you pick.
So I keep my to-be-read list in my Library Thing account. So when I'm looking at the covers, I'm looking at the covers that Library Thing has loaded in there. As opposed to the covers that might be on our library books sitting on the shelf.
Yes.
Because I'm primarily reading from the public library.
You should do a poll. You should post 5 books and get people to decide which is the prettiest for you to read.
I should do that. Yeah. I'll pull those covers and I'll pick out 5 and then I'll do a poll.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So smart.
Social media engagement.
Speaking of which, let's talk about what we are doing on Saturday.
So I'm currently reading A Homemade Life by Molly Weisenberg, which we will be talking about on Facebook Live this Saturday.
At 3 o'clock. You will find it on the library's Facebook page. You can watch us live at 3, or you can catch the video later. If you watch us live, you can make comments on it, but you can always catch it later. I can't watch it. I can't see me on camera. I can't do it. I can't. I did a tongue twister Tuesday, and I was chatting with my friend Patty, and she was like, oh, I'm going to watch a video. And I could hear it playing in the background off of her phone. And I was like, nope, you got to turn, nope, can't talk to you. You got to turn that off. Yeah, so Facebook Live Saturday. Something else that I'm doing starting tomorrow, I am doing 5-week discussion. It starts tomorrow, and it's about last year's Canada Reads books, so the 2020 Canada Reads selection, and did the panelists choose the right Canada Reads selection? Which leads me into what I'm currently reading.
All right.
I'm reading Radicalized by Cory Doctorow. You would hate it.
Does this have to do with the Sam Squash?
No. No, the Sasquatch book was by Brooks.
Oh, Max Brooks.
Max Brooks. I was like, Mel Brooks. No, that's... Max Brooks is Mel Brooks' son.
Yes.
So, I mean, I was close. No, Radicalized was one of the Canada Reads contenders from last year. And I don't know what I was expecting. The cover did not make it look appealing, let me tell you.
Because it's a very bland, like...
It shows 4 sort of red and white images.
I was going to say, it's like there's white and red and black.
Yeah. The cover is not great. Amazing. 4 short stories. I read a description that described it as social sci-fi, and that really is what it is. It's like set either in the present or in the very near future. It covers a lot of social issues, but it's also sci-fi. There's a superhero in one of them. In one of them, there's these refugees who are jailbreaking their appliances because the appliances are all set that you can only put authorized dishes in the dishwasher or the dishwasher won't work. Or you can only, so it's like when you put an ink cartridge in your printer and they say, this is not an HP ink cartridge, and then it doesn't want to work. All of the appliances are like that. Like, it's very Black Mirror.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm really, really, really enjoying it. So we'll see if you want to join in on the discussion of last year's Canada Reads books, and we can talk about how, if we feel like the panelists chose the right book, then we will start tomorrow, January 26th at 2 o'clock. We're doing these via Zoom. If you want to sign up, there is still time. Send me an email today at
information@cumberlandpubliclibraries.ca.
Thank you. It does involve a lot of reading over the course of the discussion period, but
It's because it's 5 weeks?
it's 5 weeks, but it's done over 10. So it gives you sort of a week
so
in
you've got a
between.
week. Okay.
Because there are 5 books to read. So I know not everybody reads as quickly, but this book has been fantastic. The other book that I have read for Canada Reads from last year was
join the Zoom.
fantastic. I mean, you would hate it. They're
course.
Canadian
Books.
I don't know why you can't. Well, I mean, you read Anne of Green Gables.
I was a child. I didn't know better. And also, it isn't a dystopian, like, horrifyingly awful story. They don't beat her. Like, she ends up getting puffy sleeves and, like, fermented cordial. I mean, it's all good.
What are you reading right now?
I told you, A Homemade Life.
That's it?
Well, yeah, I'll give you another book and another...
All right. So, yeah. Tune in on Facebook Live on the Cumberland Public Libraries page to find us on Saturday.
I know you said Facebook Live, but nonetheless.
Saturday at 3 o'clock. And there's just one more thing I want to mention. Coming to the library. So people have asked about being able to come into the library. Do they have to book or anything? No, the library is open. Some of the locations have shortened hours. You do have to wear your mask.
Yes.
Required by public health. There is hand sanitizer stations. And we ask that if you touch a book and then decide not to take it with you, you put it in one of our quarantine bins. We are quarantining all books for a minimum of 24 hours before they go back on the shelf. But other than that, you can come in. It's not a hangout kind of situation.
No food and drink right now to encourage mask wearing because you can't take your mask off while you're in the library.
But you can come in, you can browse for books, you can borrow books. We do have computer use. It is a limited amount of time, but we still have free computer use. So you can still come into the library. If you're not comfortable with that, we will mail things to your house or post office box absolutely free. Do you know what we're talking about next week?
Yes, I do.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about books with pets that don't die.
Oh, nice.
Not Canadian.
Talk to you next week.
My 2 favorite librarians. Brought to you by the Copper Tree Boutique in Dales Grand Market, located in beautiful, historic downtown Amherst.